So we kind of just spent the last hour talking through life as a Compton police officer, working patrol, working undercover, working narcotics. Bunch of crazy stories there. Honestly, really exciting.
Yeah.
Very informational. Definitely enjoyed hearing about it. And I can tell the passion, which is what I really love to see. When I get an opportunity to kind of talk about, some of my own experiences, I really love recanting those stories. It brings back like a fun version of myself, and that adrenaline and excitement comes back, and I can feel myself being there. And I could see that same thing with you. So that was pretty awesome. I'm going to lead with one question.
Yeah.
So we just talked about being PD, undercover, narcs, kind of all the aspirational pieces, doing raids. So would you suggest anyone to be a cop? And if yes, why? And if no, why?
Well, it's yes and no. I would have to go with I remember my buddy Pablo was over at my house one day. My son was there having dinner with us, and we're talking about the times we had, and my son says, "Yeah, I want to be a cop. I want to follow in my dad's footsteps." And we both looked at my son, and Pablo says, "Are you crazy?" And I said, "No, you're not going to be a cop, man." He goes, "Well, that's what I want to do." I said, "No." And Pablo says, "No, if you want to be a cop, you want to go the route of a Fed, FBI, or DEA. Stay away from the local government stuff. And so I talked him out of it. But if it's your passion, got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great retirement system. If you have that passion, like I did, do it. But again, if you do, stay out of the politics.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't get involved. Don't get on the A team. Don't get on the B team. Just stay on your team and the team for Christ.
Yeah.
All right. And he'll guide you through it. I didn't have that. I didn't choose the A team or the B team. I chose Arnie's team. And at that time, I knew God, but not like I know him now. So and do a lot of prayer. Is it really what you want to do? Like myself, I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be a dentist, man. I wanted to do that, but at that time, I didn't know you could borrow money to go to school. Back in 1987, 86, I just didn't understand it, and I said, well, then I'll become a cop. I didn't want to be a fireman because I'm scared of heights. I wouldn't even get on my 1-story roof, man. So, but I wouldn't lead anybody to become a cop. Go become an electrician, an AC repairman, a lineman, a contractor.
Yeah.
So that's it's your hands are tied right now.
I think one thing I see in law enforcement and military, you say don't play the politics. I agree 100%. I think one of the big things that I saw in myself, and I'd be interested to get your take on it, is kind of like if you go after a career like that, especially as a young man, it's probably because you're missing something in your life and you're looking to prove something. And that's a very dangerous place to prove that. And it's a very high stakes environment. It's a very competition based environment.
Yes.
And I think that's where I know in my own personal journey with that in the military, that's where a lot of the negative stuff came out in me, was trying to find a piece of myself through combat or through the military or through the team I was in. And that's a soul searching journey, and that's where the faith piece comes in, where it's like, well, that's what you're ultimately looking for, is to be a part of something bigger and greater. And you'll fall into the man-made politics and the man-made drama and the man-made ego rat race that those two environments are like bred.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get involved. It'll eat you up.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man. You're going to get, just thrown through the wolves, to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
It's too hard. Start your own business, something good, like become a barber, become a stylist, become something, in that realm. You're working with your hands. I think that's, one of the best things. So no, I could tell you, yes and no.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting kind of thrown to the wolves, I know something that we both share in common that we're going to get into right now is what is it kind of like losing, teammates in
Oh,
the line of
wow.
duty? So I've talked a little bit about on a couple of my prior episodes of what that looks like, in my experience. But I know that you dealt with the same thing. So kind of talk me through who were those guys, what was the relationship, and whatever detail you can kind of give on what the incident was that kind of led to that.
Like close friends you've lost. And it's, that's, people say, well, that's what you signed up for. I didn't sign up to die,
Mhm.
And that's one of the hard, things to deal with that, you will never get over with. It'll never get over. Um, my two friends, Pablo and I, talk about them all the time, James Wayne McDonald and Kevin Michael Burrell. Good men, very good men. Burrell, born and raised in Compton, um, was an explorer there in Compton, went up the rank, became a security officer, became a cop. Just one of the nicest, gentle giants you ever know. You know, um, when I first became a cop, he was just in it, chasing dope, getting guns, just one of those guys. And, you know, uh, where I lived at, Kevin lived catty corner from me in some other apartments. And if I wasn't, with my wife, I was over there hanging out with Kevin and Pablo, and Carl would be there. And man, yeah, it was just Kevin, it was comedy hour with him, man, and he really thought he can sing. Oh, well, he didn't think he did sing. He sang great, man. And he would always sing in the locker room. Whitney Houston was his number one. Oh my gosh, man. We'd have to tell him, turn that crap off, man. And and I remember riding with him. We didn't have radios in the car. So he would put two little speakers in the corners and he'd shove them in there so that in the window dashboard area. And he'd have his little radio and he would be playing music throughout the shift. Excuse me. And great man, James Wayne McDonald, a young man from Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, came from Santa Rosa. He was on his last day as a reserve officer and with Compton. He came to the station because he'd just gotten hired on to Santa Rosa PD. Okay. I knew him because he did a lot of stings with us, reverse stings, buying dope with us, and did a lot of things with narcotics because we would use some reserve officers to help us, do some of those tactics. Just energetic, a heck of a athlete. Pablo used to brag because they had a dash one day. They were running, and he said, "Man, that white boy kept up with me, Arnie. I couldn't believe it, man." And Pablo was fast, and but he had just gotten hired at Santa Rosa PD, came to the station, wanted to ride with Compton the last day before he left. And unfortunately, that last day, it was paid with his life, with Kevin. It was one of the saddest moments of Compton Police Department, where we lost two cops at one time. And, I don't want to get into the details of, what had happened, but they were shot and killed when they pulled over a gangster that was wanted for murder, and I remember putting in hours of man time in surveillance and following the suspect and just being right on his tail, and Pablo was his best friend, my buddy, and Pablo had a hard time going through it, well, like we all did, but Pablo, it took him it hit him hard, because like I tell you, we'd be in his living room for hours, days, laughing and joking about crap of the night. And he was your friend, man. Like you and I we were sitting here talking, man, and, and just teasing each other and, see him out there, uh, I'll never get that vision out of my brain of seeing them out there, and then working all them hours to catch this idiot, and he's still on death row waiting to die, that hurt, and just hard, man. You feel sorry for his family, their families, um, uh, gosh, and JJ again gave a great memorial to them, our partner, in the footsteps of heroes. That's what they are, and that's what they'll always have a place in our heart, and their families. So that it's hard.
I think it's pretty difficult waters to navigate afterwards because, like, especially as a man, you're trying to figure out what emotion do I attach to this? Is it anger? Is it revenge? Is it sorrow? Is it guilt?
Yeah.
Is it grief? And it ends up being all of them, is what I've seen in myself. And usually you're denying that it's any of those because you're like, oh, I'm just going to get this. I'm going to get the bad guy. Well, sometimes you don't. Or sometimes they're sitting on death row for their life. Or sometimes they get away. Or sometimes you don't know who they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know for me personally, that's been one of the harder struggles is sometimes just like any other loss in life. We were talking earlier about my brother dying from cancer. It's like, you can't take revenge on cancer. And so you just have to deal with it. And that sounds like very dramatic, but it's just the truth. It will be a part of you for the rest of your life. The same way that becoming law enforcement or military, it's a part of you until you die. And the grief piece it can be as beneficial as it can be damaging, is what I've seen. Is the damaging is when you don't recognize the emotion and you allow the emotion to overwhelm you without recognizing it. And then you're living in anger or grief or guilt or sorrow or revenge. And you leave the line of duty, so to say. Well, it's not like those just retire with you. They're coming right along. And then, well, when all of a sudden you're not in that environment, well, who deals with that? Your family, your friends, yourself, your future friends, your future family, or like the price that is going to pay if you don't come to terms with that. And it's not like it will ever go away. But I know for me, it's just about, I think that's where the faith piece and God intervenes, is because that's what it's done in my life, is it's given me something beyond my human understanding and capacity. Is I don't understand why this had to happen. I don't know if I can deal with it completely on my own, the way that will allow me to be whole and to live a life worthy of their sacrifice. But you can, everyone can.
Right. You go through life. I mean, like yourself, let me ask you this. Did you have a time to mourn, to really cry, to, sit there for an hour in quietness with the Lord and ask him, give me some guidance on this? Can you help me with this? Can you help me walk through life for the rest of my life on this? No, you probably didn't. I didn't, and I know a lot of other men that I worked with didn't, and still till this day, hearing bagpipes for other officers, it's hard. I can't listen to it, we had to be out there. I remember when they held his funeral at the church, we had us narcotic guys, we had to wait outside because we were watching who was approaching the church. Maybe that guy would turn back because he wants to see the hurt, and point him out. So we really, didn't have time to mourn. We were on 10 during the whole time.
Yeah.
And right after, when they were shot and killed, I still remember coming in that night, calling informants, meeting with informants. What's going on? What'd you hear? Going back to the site and searching the area for anything that any clues, any evidence that we could find, and it was raining that night, so it was hard, man. To this day, Pablo and I, when we talk, till this day, it comes up, his hurt on it. And then the aftermath, the politics behind it. Government officials want to take the woe is me kind of thing, and that's a whole nother, rabbit hole we can go through.
I know that one intimately.
Yeah. You see, so it's tough, but, yeah, man, and my other close best friend died too in a car accident, and, man, he was a copper there in Compton, and, still got to tell his story, his side of, being what great of a friend he was to me, and you remind him a lot of him. He was one of the most handsome white guys I ever met. He was, and man, he was Robert Labarge, and Labarge was, we hit it off real good, and we had a softball team there in Compton, and we would play against other departments or other, we're in this league. So we thought, hey, he grew up in Orange County. He was one of the best, hey, did you play baseball? Yeah, I played baseball. Okay, why don't you come on out with us, man? Play with us. Yeah, sure. We figured, oh, this cat knows what he's doing, and we took him out there to go play. The guy he didn't even know how to throw a baseball, man, really. And it was just, we laughed, and he says, I never told you I was good. I go, nah, you're right, Labarge, you never did, man. But, we love having you around, a good man all in all, so, yeah.
It's a hard piece.
It is.
But at some point we find ourselves, on the other end. So let's kind of talk about, life after PD. I know a big thing that we were talking about earlier was, finding that faith and finding that walk with, the Lord after,
Right.
I think we both had a piece of it with us there. But I think a lot of it comes, especially from men, with reflection. I think at some point you'll realize that you're at the end of your own understanding of everything. You're at the end of your own capacity to deal. And you have two directions you can turn. One is going to be the destructive, and one's going to be the rebuilding. The destructive is going to be, on the far side, suicide, and on the soft side, turning to alcohol or whatever it may be. But then on the other side of the coin, there is the rebuild, which I think we both have found ourselves, at very different times on that same side, which is I need to find something that's bigger than me and bigger than my understanding, which is that faith piece. So what has that kind of looked like in your life post PD?
Oh man, what had happened to me at Compton was undeserving and just ugly, and at that time I didn't fathom, I just couldn't put it all together. It was a puzzle that had missing parts. And and this will come out later, I'm not ready to talk about it today, but I'll explain it, and but even 25, 30 years later, it's like they're still talking about it, and I'm just like, you guys, have no life, and you guys are pathetic, and just it's just ridiculous, but life after Compton PD was very difficult because, like you said earlier and I said earlier, we were trained to do one thing, go out, do this and do that. And then when you leave law enforcement, you go, what do I do now? For some guys, it's, they pick it up and they go because they weren't hurt, or they weren't dealt the card that I was dealt with. Okay. So like I told you earlier, I felt like Paul the Apostle, going from city to city to city, trying to find my way. But Paul had it. He knew what he had to do. I didn't know what I had to do. I just, would go to this job, to keep busy and keep working and support my kids to go through college, support them to have a good lifestyle, and have to keep working, man. And I remember moving into my new house and shaking my fist at God and going, why did you do this to me? I love what I was doing. I loved it, man. Why did you do this? God, this is ridiculous. And this was like 3 a.m. And I'm crying out to him, and I'm just fed up, and I'm angry, and I'm pissed. And at one time, I told you earlier, and I've told this to many people, I had my guns lined out, and I was going to go kill these guys at the police department. And I had my 2-year-old daughter with me. Nobody was home. I said, I got it. I'm going to put her to sleep. I'm going to tell my neighbor to come and watch her. And I'm going to get my guns. I'm driving down to Compton, and I'm going to kill them. That's it, man. I'm going to do them. And I knew the route. I knew I'm going to go here first. Boom, boom. Go upstairs. Boom, 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 boom. I had it down, And so when I went upstairs, I went to my neighbor. Hey, I'm going to put her to sleep. Can you come over and take care of her after I put her to sleep? Yeah, Arnie. Sure, not a problem. Okay, so we go upstairs, and I'm patting her to bed, patting her to sleep, take a nap. And Michael, like I told you, we both fell asleep. We both knocked out. And I never take a nap, But the Lord, and I'm telling you the truth, I never take a nap. And we both knocked out. I woke up, we were up at 4:30. And by that time, they were gone, And I was like, oh my God, thank you, Lord. You put me to sleep, man. Wow, what was I thinking? And that could have been a change in history for the goodness of my children, how successful they are now, and where I'm at today. And for, like I said, 25, 30 years, I never had godly men in my path to say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you handle this. This is, and take me step by step. I wish I would have had that. I wish I would have had what you had. I wish I would, but God didn't want me to put the trust in man like I had before. So that night when I'm shaking my fist at him and I'm angry, hate, revengeful, he stopped me and said, shook me and said, look around you. Look around you. Stop it. And I looked around and it was quiet. Quiet. And I oh my gosh, Lord, you gave me this beautiful home. My beautiful wife is still asleep in bed. My children are asleep in a warm bed. I have a beautiful new home built from the ground up. I seen it built from the ground up. You gave me all this. Wow. Wow, man. Okay. I got you. Okay. No, he said, no. I got you. Stop it. And I still couldn't find a church at that time. There wasn't really one. I didn't find anybody to grab me and say, hey, you need to go to this church. You need to get involved. You need to talk to these people. So that wasn't until I moved even further out, into Southern California and found a church and got connected and, started the walk, and meeting good men and to help me fight this. But still, the enemy still creeps in constantly. He's still trying to knock you down. And so that's when you got to recognize those faults and read the Old Testament. of what Moses went through, what Aaron went through, what Saul went through, Samuel went through, you start, oh, wow, I need to do what these men didn't do or are doing or did. I got to do that. And I'm telling you, that helps greatly. And those men that are, writing things about me, wanting answers from me, I look at you and I say, hey, man, there's two things I got to answer to. One is my Lord Jesus Christ, and two, my wife. That's it. Yeah. Nobody else. You all can go pound sand, and do what you got to do. Yeah. God bless you. I wish you the best. I'll pray for you. I just hope to God I never see you in the street. God help me, and he will, and he has.
I think it's a really important piece that you pointed out that honestly I haven't thought about until you said it, which was God kind of deprived you of that community because he wanted you to stop trusting in people.
Yes.
And he needed you to trust in him. And then he would reintroduce people into your life when you knew how to treat them as a human and not them as God, which I know has been a big thing in my life where, we were talking earlier off camera kind of about being in the wilderness, so to say, and that's what brought me out here to where we're at now. And how I met you was I also was going through the same thing where, God was telling me, you care too much about what people think. You put all your understanding in how other people are going to respect you or not respect you or understand you or not understand you. So I'm going to take all that away and you're going to hate it. But I know you're strong enough to find me in that absence of human.
Amen. Yeah.
And then when you find me, I'm going to bring the human community back to you. And I'm going to bring it back in the fashion that you should have been looking for in the first place. Because I think for me and other men in the past, especially when things were hard in my life, I was looking for people to justify the way I was feeling instead of to challenge me on the way I was feeling. And I wasn't ready for the challenge. All I wanted was the justification or the likewise revenge type of thing.
And that's the Lord's job. Justification and the revenge. But go on, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just that actually hit pretty hard on me of just understanding that, because I've been trying to understand, well, why did I have to go through that season? Well, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because he's preparing me for the community that I've been looking for my whole life, but I couldn't have it until I didn't have it.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want something as much until it's not accessible to you. When you just have people in your life, you'll take them for granted. When you have friends and relationships, you'll underestimate them or you'll give them too much credit. And what he wants you to do is to look to him first and then to understand that other people in your life are a gift.
Yeah. What was our men's retreat slogan?
Seek him first.
Right. Yes. Seek him first, man. We had this one, Matt, pastor that came in to teach, and he cracked me up. His slogan was Jesus, 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 homie. And at first I was like, dude, you're corny. Knock that off. But you know what? He's 100% right. He's 100% right. So oh man, I just can't, So yeah, after the PD, men like yourself go through in the service after they leave. We don't know when men walk this earth, what they're going through. So be cordial, be respectful, be loving, be kind, be patient with them, and that's what I've learned to do now, even in my household now, with my wife, oh man, I look back at all the years I've treated the way I treated her, because it wasn't her, it was just the anger of what had been done to me and the hatefulness. Had one guy that would keep calling me, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? It's like, dude, I just want to kill you. In fact, I went to his house one day, and he had just had knee surgery. and I was going to kill him. I'd had it. I knew what he did, you know, and I had my gun with me, and I chickened out. I didn't do it, you know, and it was sad, you know, that the enemy gets you to that point, but the Lord will not let you do something unless he gives the approval.
Mm.
You are God's child,
Mm-hmm.
and he will take care of you no matter what. He is there.
Yeah.
And he did. And I left. And he would call me in. I wouldn't even answer the phone no more. For the last time that was it.
Yeah. I think that's a big piece, is like kind of disengaging from what is perpetuating the issue. You know, there's people that will do you wrong, and then they're going to stay in your life for the next 10 years. And it's like, well, you have a choice in that too. You're the one that answers the phone or doesn't.
You do,
and I've seen that pop up in my life recently, where, you know, some of the people that have been the bigger, you know, decisive or divisive points in my life have reintroduced themselves, and I'm like, have finally made the choice to say, I'm not engaging. And then it's like, oh man, this burden's just gone. Yeah. It's like what normally would have just kickstarted the whole anger, resentment, anxiety, doubt, whatever.
Don't need that.
You disengage, and then that wave that's coming at you just passes by.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, so it is a choice sometimes.
Yeah. It's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, family, I have the only family I have is in this household.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Other family members, I don't talk with. I don't do it. I don't want the drama. Mm-hmm. I've given you my time. I've given you my love. I've given you, I still pray for you every day. I still love you. In the Bible, it says to love. There's nowhere in the Bible it says to like people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't like you. You know, I don't need to deal with you. God says, hey, man, if that city doesn't treat you right, take off your sandals and go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what that really means? Is this, and go.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you do that. And that's what I did. That's the choice I made, the choice that the Lord gave me. And caused me to look ahead, take care of what I have to take care of,
mm-hmm.
and all will be good, Arnie, son. The last I want to hear is well deserved. You know, you know, I want the Lord to say, you know, you did a great job. I love you. Come to me.
Mm.
You know, that's what I want to hear.
So kind of from your experience, what does that look like, you know, for kind of speaking to some of the other people that are going through that wilderness right now? Obviously, it's so hard to recognize it when you're in it. It's so hard to see past it when you're in it. It's like, this is my life, is what you think, and it's overwhelming. But what does it look like to find that community and that, like, the right influence? Once God is ready to allow that back in, what does that look like?
I want you to look at other YouTube channels such as Greg Laurie, Billy Graham, Chuck Smith. Those are the three top that come to my come to my head right now. And listen to them. And remember, our Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross and bled for you for your salvation. That's what you need to do. And then that'll steer you into a relationship. It'll steer you into a church, but into a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? Now, not all churches are perfect. Now, remember that. You need to get that through your head. I mean you. And gain that relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. Read the Word. But always remember, the Lord Jesus Christ died for you, bled for you, and you are his child. And stop playing around, because the days are short.
Mm.
All right? So that's what you need to do. And we just went through a study with our church called The Awe of God by John Bevere. Read that book. Read it. It's only 3.5, 4 pages a day. And you'll be done with it in 6 weeks. and it's beautiful. And you will find the awe of God. And once you find that too, whew, you know, it's awesome.
I think one of the best things of like the story of Jesus is the sacrifice, because, you know, we're talking about getting over like the betrayal of men, right?
Yeah.
Well, the opposite of betrayal is someone that lays down your life. And we've both dealt with that in the human world too,
Yes.
where teammates have paid the ultimate price. And we can see how that motivates us and drives us to want to be better and to honor them and to make sense of the world and all these things. And there's a story that's been around for thousands of years that's been sharing the exact same message, except on a larger scale.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one of the big things that I've taken from it is getting to a place in my head of just being like, I don't trust anyone. I don't care about anyone. I don't want to trust anyone. I don't want to care about anyone because people are trash. Everyone has something they want to do against you. And when you start that thought process, it's infectious. And then it goes from the one bad person or the 5 bad people that did something to you. And then in my personal life, you start taking it out on the people that are trying to do right by you.
Right.
Friends, family.
Yes.
Whoever's close to you is going to deal with the excessive vileness that's coming out of you because of that distrust and that doubt and that anger and that hate.
Oh, don't do it, man. You know, the Lord will teach you discernment and how to stop that. And you'll learn, you know, okay, I did all I can do, Lord. He or she is all yours. And walk away. You planted that seed, let somebody else water it and go.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen that happen.
I think that's one of the big things about the faith journey is understanding that you are a pawn. You're not the player. You're not playing the chess game. You're on the chess board.
Yeah.
And that actually is a lot of relief.
Yeah.
Because when you think, especially as a man, that like, I have to figure out how to control my life. Well, that's the wrong approach because it's not your life. It's his life. And when you try to control it, that's when you get caught up in what men are capable of, which is hate, revenge, doubt, insecurity.
And that's it. They're in that world. You are not of the world, you know, so let them wallow in that. We'll try and save them, you know, pull them out. But you know, it's their choice. You know, God, you know, yeah, my heart cries out for you, but you know what? I got to go to the next one who will listen to me. And that's in 2 Timothy 2:2. You know, if that's what Paul was trying to train Timothy. Hey, if they're not going to learn to walk with Christ, then go to the next one. If they're not going to do what they want you to do, go to the next one. You know, but I'm going to build you up, Timothy, to do that. And that's what you're doing to me. I'm your Timothy. You're my Timothy to build, you know, and that's what you got to do, man. You know,
I think a pretty cool conversation I've had with my fiance recently is we both have had some fairly rough, you know, past. And our initial approach, because we're pretty similar in the way that we come at this, is like, how do we right these wrongs? And how do we distance ourselves from those type of people? And like stuff like that is how we first talked about it. And then once we kind of pushed into, you know, the discipleship program that we were going through at church, it changed my mind. And then we started talking about how do we live by example? And it's almost like the message I'm trying to share is build yourself and live an example that's worth following. Don't go and try to be other people's path. Pave your own path the right way and live honorably with integrity and character.
right.
And other people will want to mimic you. They don't need to be on your path and you don't need to be blazing theirs. You just need to do yours and live it in a way, the same way, like I feel like the Bible is saying, here's the path to mimic. And the path is named Jesus.
Yes.
And this is what it looks like. You're not Jesus. You can't be. But what you can do is mimic him. And that's how I'm trying to live now is if I mimic him and if I get as close as a human can be.
That's right.
The best thing I can do for other people is to show them easier in their life what that looks like, the same way that that's what Jesus's job was to show us what a human representation of being like God is like. And it's to live with love, compassion. It's, what is it? First Corinthians.
Yes.
It's the, love, joy, patience, kindness, all of that stuff. And it's like, that's probably the most impactful verse to me, or, chapter out of the Bible, is just saying, this is what it means to live like Christ. And it's not about control. It's about living with love.
That's right. You hit it. Excellent points, man. And just like in the beginning of this, I told you, when I look at you at the first time, I saw you and I saw myself in the mirror, how you were and how I was. Well, now that we're growing in the Lord, we look in the mirror and we see Jesus Christ.
Mm.
That's the growth we want. We need, and that's what he made us for, is to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And be just like him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting point about like looking in the mirror and seeing him instead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I know one thing that has been a problem with me kind of in my own life is when I look into other people's lives, I see one of the worst parts of myself in them. And then it makes me resentful towards them. It makes me judgmental towards them.
Yeah.
But when I look into their life and I see an attribute of Jesus, because he's with everyone, then I can see common ground. And then I can see, oh, this is how I can build a relationship with them. This is how I could help them.
Yes.
This is how I can be in their life. But it's from an angle of love and community, and not the angle of resentment and insecurity that has like overwhelmed me for years.
Two things, man. You just hit it too. Is one, is I remember golfing with my friend last week, and he's, he knows God, but but he goes to a Catholic church. But hey, man, he's a very smart individual. And I was explaining something to him, and he says, "You're right, Arnie. Hate the sin, not the sinner."
Mm.
And I was like, wow, and you got it, man. You're right on it. And the other one is I'm getting old, man, so I forgot that one. Oh, man. I'll come back to it, but I can't remember it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
So we opened with this, and we can kind of get ready to wrap down with this.
All right.
We opened with, do it for his glory, do it for him.
Yes.
So now that we're at the tail end of a couple hour long conversation, well, about 6 hours since we've been sitting here. But so what does that look like at the tail end of this conversation? What does it look like to be post-military, post-PD, walking in faith, being at different walks of life, looking for community, looking for mentorship, actively wanting to be mentored, actively wanting to mentor others?
Yes.
So do it for his glory, do it for him. What does that look like when you're on the other side of the wilderness?
I see the light. I see his, like I said, I see his glory shining upon me every morning. And it's a blessing, man. It's awesome. And I can't wait to keep looking ahead and keep going forward. Don't look back. Just keep looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And God will guide you through. And when you're living for God, people are going to look at you, like you said, with all those attributes, but they're going to look at you and they're going to say, I want what he wants. I mean, what he has.
Mm-hmm.
I want what he has. Wow. What is it? Dude, you're like, we're just talking about Pastor Carlos. The other day I'm talking to him, and it's like I'm talking to him, but I can see in his eyes, I can see Christ, man, and he's just going, and it's awesome to see a man of God like that. And I want to be like Christ. I want to be like you, PC. I want to have that vision. I see that in Daniel. I see that in other leaders in our church, my buddy Doug, Gary, that I've met. And, oh man, he's led me to righteous men like yourself. And, we got to continue that fight. And that's what it is. We put on, we go out, put on our helmet, our breastplate, guards, and we go out and we fight the fight. We pick up our cross every day, man.
Mm.
But we have fun doing it. We got it just like we did when we were cops, when we were in the service. We put on our belts, our gun, our cuffs, our magazines, and hey, man, let's go do it.
Yeah,
that's what we got to do.
Yeah,
yeah, we get tired, but have yourself a cheeseburger and go, or a donut.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of what sticks out to me. With that statement of "do it for His glory, do it for Him." So I'm thinking like post-military, post-law enforcement, post the wilderness, whatever that looks like in each person's life. Is I know for me, and it kind of sounds like the same thing from you, is like when you come out of that phase of life where you have found very deep purpose and meaning, well, now you're looking for more purpose and more meaning. And I think the important thing about doing it for His glory, doing it for Him is, well, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You now have the purpose. You are a part of the big mission. And so exactly what you said, you can armor up every day and go and serve at a food bank, or you can armor up every day and go and work whatever job you're doing. You can armor up every day and go and serve your family, or go to church, or go and enjoy a cheeseburger, like whatever it may be. You now have that endless pool of purpose to give into. And it has a couple simple principles, the same way that law enforcement and military do. Here's what it looks like to do your job, but your job is now completely open-ended. It's the entire world. It's every job you could ever work, every relationship you'll ever have, every interaction that you'll ever partake in. And I know that's what I've been looking for, is how do I find purpose again? And it's like, with my family, with my fiance, with my friendships, with any relationship, with my business pursuits, it's like, well, those are all tied into one now. They never had been. They were all compartmentalized. And then when one would come under fire because of X, Y, and Z, or this struggle, or this, traumatic situation, the other ones are going to somehow be negatively affected by it. But it's when they're all tied in together, you're able to go through the highs and the lows with everyone, instead of trying to shut yourself down and put yourself in the box of, okay, this happened at work, so I'm going to keep it at work. Well, everything's work. And then you're going to get closer with your, relationships. You're going to get closer with your friends, because everything is intertwined now. My business is my friends. My friends are my fiance. My fiance is my family. My family is my work pursuits. Like whatever, everything's intertwined now. And it's the endless pool of purpose and ability to serve and do a job and to be selfless and to live honorably and with integrity.
Right.
And to, pick up the cross is the same as going on deployment, or going on call, or going on shift, as PD, whatever it may be. It gives you that ability to find the purpose that everyone's looking for, to find the community everyone's looking for. And it doesn't have to be compartmentalized. It's my family and my friends are my church, and my church is my home, and my home is my work, and everything gets mixed in.
You've come a long way in a year, brother. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah. But hey, man, the impurities were thrown away.
Yeah. Well,
and that's awesome.
Still working progress. Yeah,
I am, and I'm 58 years old, man, and I'm still, working through it.
Yeah.
It's a, but as we close this up, I don't know if you're ready. There are always, three things I always say is, one is believe in your Lord Jesus Christ, get to know Him, and how you start that really is simple. It's very easy, man. And just ask Him to come into your heart. And those three YouTube channels or contacts that I put, go to Him and start off easy, man. Push in your chair after eating somewhere. Be nice. Be kind. At a restaurant after you eat, push in your chair. Number two is use your turn signal. Okay? Use your turn signal, man. And start learning those little things. Smile at people at the market. Just smile at them. And they'll look at you like, oh, wow, what's wrong with this guy? Hey, I'm happy, man. I'm blessed. That's it. Do that. Start with. And other things will start coming your way. Okay?
Absolutely. Well, sir, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has.
Drop your website, YouTube, Instagram, all the things where everyone can find you at. So what are those? What's the website?
The website is comptoncop.com.
Okay. YouTube channel.
Same.
A Compton Cop.
Instagram, the same.
Okay.
All right.
Any other social media or media sources people can find you on?
No. And be kind. All right. Be kind and rewind. Remember that?
Hey, I am old enough to remember that. I love Blockbuster Video in Hollywood.
I know, man. You know. Well, it's been kind, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too, sir.
And you're going to do great things with that new wife of yours.
Yep.
Awesome. She's awesome. You know, she's awesome.
All right, man. Thank you again.
Thank you.